this was definitely not the Superman reimagining that I wanted. I guess again, I've come from I've read a lot of post-crisis Superman, pre-crisis Superman, New 52 Superman. Then I read what was those called there for a while? They were like what were they? They were graphic novels. They were called like New Earth Superman or something like that. And they did Batman, they did Wonder Woman, they did Superman, and I think they did Green Lantern too. And it was all right. I guess I've just seen so many reimaginings. I don't know. Wonder Woman's was good. Martian Manhunter's was good. Batman. This one, I guess because Superman is supposed to symbolize hope and truth and justice in the American way. And in a sense, that's just all gone from this. This just felt really depressing, I guess is the best, for lack of better words. So, in this era, or in this iteration of Superman, Krypton is not this sort of like smart and peaceful planet, or to the degree that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster initially came up with. So I'm going to kind of flick through what Krypton is now reimagined in this absolute universe. Years ago, 9 million light years from Earth, the planet Krypton was ruled by its cities. Sprawling centers of advanced science and ancient laws, like Kandor, with its lab-grown gardens and lava-powered energy plants, and its supercapacitors the size of skyscrapers made entirely of sunstone crystal. In the cities worked the clerics of the Science League, harnessing the energies of the red sun and the planet itself to fuel their insatiable hunger for progress at all costs. They were the Kryptonian ruling class, the most venerated minds of the planet, and my parents were not among them. And right there, again, this is supposed to be a new generation or a new imagining. But even most, like all the Superman movies, all the way back to, I can't speak for the radio show or the original George Reeves, but you think about Christopher Reeves' Superman, even when John Byrne took over and kind of reimagined with Man of Steel, Jor-El was always like this leader class. Like everyone looked up to him and respected him. And that's another reason why I hated Bendis' run, because they made Jor-El kind of a villain, and we're not going to get into that. But just to kind of make Jor-El and Laura on that same token dropped, it kind of kills it for me, because you see Laura working on this tractor for this guy, and it says, Laura, what are you doing? We need to get inside before we get rained on, because essentially you have to pay for rain in this imagining. She goes, you paid a lot of crim for this rain. You don't want to get your money's worth? In school, my mother, Laura Vaughn, was an exemplary student, destined for great things, everyone said, until she wrote an essay criticizing Krypton's lack of funding for interstellar exploration. For this, she was labeled unruly and forbidden from ever applying to the Science Academy. She was 9 years old. She wanted to be an astronaut. Now, I will admit the artwork is absolutely stunning. I really do love the work done here. I mean, she has that hopeful face, even with what life is thrown at her, the hardened farmer. But as we get further into it, we see the ruling class and the serving class. So the class structure of Krypton defied all aspects of life. At its pinnacle reigned the Science League. Class distinctions were of such importance that citizens were required to wear their status at all times. The crests of the laborers was seen as a mark of shame, the sign of the poor and unskilled. They were the children of the sun, they said, those who made their way with their own two hands. So you see the ruling class and then the servitude class. And I will say one thing, I know I don't get into the films a lot because I don't care to get into that conversation. But one thing that I will say that I liked what Zack Snyder did is on the first Man of Steel film when I cannot believe I'm Lois Lane. I was like, what's her name? When she asks Clark what the S on his chest stands for, he says it stands for hope. And that just right there, I'm not trying to say Man of Steel was this great film. It was a good movie, but of course the Christopher Reeves era is always the best. Anyway, I just hate that the S now is sort of just been, in my opinion, tarnished. And that gripes, that gets in my craw a lot. I guess because there for a while before I really got into Batman, I read Superman a lot. And I always looked up to what Clark was and how he respected his heritage, but he also wanted to implement his heritage into his now adopted world. And I don't know where this comic's going to go. I'm not going to continue with this. But even in the New 52, when he had a little more attitude, he still had that Clark Kent sense. And just tarnishing the S. So here we see Jor-El trying to work on this mine. There's, what do you call it? Been stress cracks, allegedly. And so he's investigating. And everyone's trying to say, hey, we're going to open this mine back up. Take a good long look at my chest, then have a glance down at yours. Now go march yourself upstairs and tell the diggers the League of Middle Management said to get their skin sacks back to work. And it says, my father, Jor-El, was set to graduate the Science Academy with impeccable marks. A high-ranking position in the ruling class awaited him. At his graduation ceremony, he gave a speech condemning what he saw as the Science League's environmental recklessness. Their pillaging of Krypton's natural resources was endangering the planet he warned, and without drastic reform could someday lead to global catastrophe. My father was laughed out of his graduation, out of his position in the League, out of his life as he knew it. But he was right. For me, going through the Ultimate Marvel era, and what a lot of people had a gripe with that generation was that they said it was too edgy. I mean, if you looked at what the Ultimates were, which was that universe's version of the Avengers, I mean, seeing Cap kick people in the face with just no remorse, I'm kind of starting to feel that that's sort of what this comic is. Now, I would read the credits to you. I know it's Jason Aaron writing, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember where the credits are. So once we find them, we'll dive into it. We go to Earth now, and we see all these. I think these are essentially indentured workers. It says 3 days ago, the migrant workers at the Lajes Greek diamond mine were tunneling underneath a kimberlite ore body, the typical host matrix for diamonds. And when they came upon a large deposit of asbestos, they were ordered by their employers to continue digging. So they did. And we come to find out that the people, so spoilers if you guys don't want to be spoiled, but the people funding all these mining operations is the Lazarus Project. So it's interesting to see. I'm wondering if this is supposed to be Raz Al Ghul. And it's not Raish. Neil Adams even said in an interview it's Raz, not Raish. So let's just set the record straight there. And the enforcers are the peacemakers. So everyone looks like the peacemaker, which is kind of interesting and in a cool kind of way to change the vibe, because you don't want if you're going to create a new universe, you don't want everything to be status quo. So for that, I get it. But when you're dealing with heroes that have defined generation after generation, there's certain things that you have to adhere to. And so I'm really hoping that they'll kind of fix that with Superman, or at least in this issue, because it says the previous night in this place, being alone will kill you even quicker than the mind. You are alone, yes. Sorry, do you not speak Portuguese? Someone said they heard you speak in Spanish. Another said English. Old Mathis, one of the last of the Sintra Larga, the indigenous of this land, swears you are a wild boy of the Amazon who speaks only gibberish. So we just see Clark's eyes using his X-ray vision. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pry. Here we all have our secrets. I am Jaho. Do you have a name? Not anymore. What do you want from me? Tomorrow we will face the blizzard, but tonight there will be barbecued boar and grilled plantains, and we will drink. Oh God, can I say that? If y'all can kind of help me out with this, cachaca, and dance until sleep comes over us like a fever. Join us, and you'll be welcome. You will be family. I've seen the wonders of your world. What? I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. I've seen the wonders of your world. My world. And I've seen a lot of places like this, industries that run on suffering. How do you know which is the truth? You know when you have what is worth fighting for. That is the truth. So with all that said, these miners, this mine has been shut kind of like people don't want to work because of the asbestos and all that stuff, but all the mining is done. And the peacemakers want to know who has been messing with the mines. It says, always misery, always Lazarus, except this time I've left myself weak and sun-starved, dreaming of a time so long ago when I still knew who I was. And then we see this voice say, Kal-El, huh? And so, spoilers. Clark here says he's tired of running. The big surprise is that Clark's suit is symbiote. Is a symbiote. Sort of like how Grant Morrison was trying to go for with the New 52, which I'm glad that got retconned. Just the idea of him having a kind of Iron Man suit just sort of is not appealing to me, because Clark should be able to rely just on his Kryptonian heritage and his know-how from growing up in Smallville. And that's what's made him so popular over the years, is the fact that he's this demigod, so to speak, but he has the heart of humanity. He doesn't want to hurt, he wants to save. And so I get that in this sense he's kind of edgier. He wants to save all these indentured immigrants that are being, what's the word I'm looking for? Not exposed, exploited. There's the word I'm looking for. And so in this, you can understand his angst when he find out what's happened to his home. Now, I'm not going to give too much more away. He gets into the fight with the Lazarus Corporation, and there's a certain agent that takes him down, and in the next issue, they go toe-to-toe. It's someone he knows, it's someone we know, and I don't like the reimagining. Just how, when I read Absolute Batman issue 1, I hated that Bruce was essentially growing up, his friends were Harvey Dent, Killer Croc, Catwoman. That just felt too like something you'd read in a YA novel or a manga. It just does not work in this regard. Same here. But the one thing I will spoil, so if you don't want this little reveal at the end, please make sure to pause this, go check out the comic, and come back. And speaking of, before we do that, I did find the credit page, Last Dust of Krypton, Part 1. Down on the dirt, this is Jason Aaron writing, Rafa Sandoval doing the arts, Ulysses Areola doing the colors, Becky Carey doing the lettering, everyone else working on the book. And of course, Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Now, here's the spoiler. Let me see if I can find it. We see the backside of Brainiac. Of course, we see Kandor, and you can barely see what it says here. I think it says, kill us, please kill us. Yeah, that's what it says. Okay. And then Central Kansas, and we see that something has happened to the Kent homestead, and of course, it says property of Lazarus Core. So again, I'm wondering what the machinations of Ra's al Ghul is going to be in this universe, but I'm going to be straight up and honestly, I don't really care to continue it. I do want to hunt down Absolute Wonder Woman issue 2 and Martian Manhunter. I saw the preview for Green Lantern, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm not saying don't read it, it's bad. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, as I always say, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to get your action figures and comics, and grab this series. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that Smallville bell. Next, subscribe. That was I continue to upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel. I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.